Welcome to the NFN Radio News Podcast, brought to you by Not Fake News.biz. I'm Bob Gaddy, founder and editor of Not Fake News. When Joe Biden defeated Donald Trump last November, one of the first thoughts that went through my mind was that the battle against the environment that Trump waged for 4 years would soon be over. That the U.S. would once again join the fight against climate change, that Biden would pull back Trump's most egregious executive orders that tried to wipe out efforts by the Obama administration to protect our air and our water. So it was heartening to see some of the first public comments made by Biden's new EPA administrator, Michael Regan, who said the agency will do exactly that. Here's my take on that, as published on notfakenews.biz. Here's Protecting the Environment is back at EPA. Take a listen. Finally, the attack against our environment has ended as the new head of the Environmental Protection Agency, the EPA, Michael Regan, has now taken over, determined to meet the agency's actual mission of protecting our environment. That, of course, is in stark contrast to the EPA under Donald Trump, which focused its efforts on undoing previous advances in combating pollution and improving air and water quality, all for the benefit of polluters under the guise of undoing overly burdensome government regulations. It was so bad at EPA under Trump that almost 1,600 workers quit, while less than 400 were hired. And that was only during the first 18 months of Trump's disastrous presidency. All of this is put into perspective in an exclusive interview with Regan by the Washington Post's Brady Dennis and Dino Grandoni. They write that the first thing Regan must do is help the EPA get its groove back. We've got a lot of work to do, starting with rebuilding the staff morale and getting all of our staff back to feeling as if they matter, their voices matter, Regan said. We really have to restore the scientific integrity and the utilization of data, of facts, as we move forward and make some very important decisions. Regan, a former EPA employee who served as Southeast Regional Director of the Environmental Defense Fund, and then as the North Carolina Secretary of Environmental Quality, made this flat statement: "Science is back at EPA." That's great news for those of us who care about our environment, about fighting climate change, about protecting the water that we drink and the air that we breathe. Regan told the Post reporters that the EPA will revisit the Trump administration's rollback of tailpipe emissions rules for new cars and trucks, an action that even the automobile industry opposed. He also plans to take a look at Trump's attempt to revoke California's authority to set its own fuel efficiency standards for automobiles, a waiver that had been granted under the Clean Air Act by previous administrations. The new administrator said a federal court's decision to vacate the Trump administration's replacement of the Clean Power Plan established during the Obama administration now allows the agency to regulate climate-warming pollutants from burning coal and gas for electricity. He also indicated in the interview that he's open to toughening air quality standards for ozone and other pollutants. We're taking a look at how we enhance some decisions that we believe are not as protective as we think they should be, he said. Regan, who was easily confirmed by the Senate, was sworn in as the 16th EPA administrator on March 11, becoming the first black man and second person of color to lead the agency. According to the EPA, the Goldsboro, North Carolina native developed a passion for the environment while hunting and fishing with his father and grandfather, and exploring the lands, waters, and intercoastal plain of North Carolina. Throughout his career, he's been guided by a belief in forming consensus, fostering an open dialogue rooted in respect for science and the law, and an understanding that environmental protection and economic prosperity go hand in hand, the EPA's website says. The bottom line is this: the days of diminishing the importance of science in the decision-making process are over at the EPA, as are the days of simply taking actions for the benefit of powerful corporate interests. The environment be damned. That means we can all breathe much more easily, knowing that the agency established by Congress to protect our environment will actually do that. Hey guys, thanks for listening. Hope you enjoyed this podcast. It'd be great if you'd follow NFN Radio News so you don't miss an episode, and check out Not Fake News.biz too. There's new material just about every day, and we have some really good writers with perspectives on a whole range of topics. You can sign up as a member at notfakenews.biz, and of course, it's all free. Also, let your friends know about this podcast and about notfakenews.biz. Our goal is to be informative and entertaining as we comment on the latest developments in the news, with just a little lean to the left. And check out our companion podcast, Tempo and the Times, created with my old buddy Scott Ramager to explore the intersection of music, art, and popular culture with news and politics. We launched Friday, February 19, with an introductory episode that explains what you can expect from Tempo and the Times, which will include some cool and interesting guests and streams every Friday. Our first guest was Susan Anders, a talented Nashville musician who shared information about her musical adventures, including her new album, 13 Women. The album looks to the past with original songs about 13 women, some well-known, some not, who've made extraordinary contributions to history in our modern world. March is Women's History Month, so this is a perfect way to recognize that and to kick off our new show. So take a listen to our first episode of Tempo and the Times. You can find that show on just about any podcast streaming service, including Spreaker, or by visiting tempoandthetimes.com. Now, coming up Friday, March 19th, will be former New Jersey Congressman and Governor James J. Florian, who talks with Scott and me about the state of politics and government today in the post-Trump era and what he thinks Joe Biden needs to do to make things happen. Meanwhile, thanks for listening. This is Bob Gaddy signing off for NFN Radio News and NotFakeNews.biz.